The dew was still fresh on the moss-covered rocks that surrounded the meadows of the dark and forgotten forest. The smell of the morning mist was strong among the changing leaves of fall. It was musky, but somehow it would seem to ease even the most angered of spirits. The constant sound of rustling leaves could be heard as the autumn breeze soared through the vale. The leaves covered the ground in a multitude of colors and textures. Suddenly, a large wind gust moves the fallen brush with a swift motion, revealing the most foulest of sights. A body. Not dead, but instead gasping for air. The body was beaten and covered in blood, and it had runes carved deeply into its gray flesh. The runes were unrecognizable, made with precise lines and spaced equally apart. Two figures can be seen in the distance. They seemed to be knowing their way around, or at least comfortable in the wood. The steps they took were bold and confident. A light snapping sound can be heard just barely over the gusts of wind. "Did you hear that?" exclaims a creature covered in leather armor, wearing a bold headpiece, made from the finest antlers you have ever seen. With the raise of her eyebrows, you can see the markings on her face move with expression and concern. "I think it came from over there. It's the changing of the season. Most critters are not out this time of day." A large man came from behind with a look in his eyes of fear. A roar of laughter is heard in the woods responds. "What are you, afraid of a falling tree? You know nothing can hurt us. You have nothing to worry about." His leather armor was much more worn and torn than the lady in front of him, and his eyes were covered in a dark blue paint, and his hands appeared to be stained in blood red. "I'm not afraid!" he exclaimed. "I was only wondering if you heard it too. We are out here because people in our village are disappearing at night." As he pulls a masterfully crafted darkwood arrow from his quiver. "Put that thing away! You don't need it!" With a side glance, she sees the quiver and admires his craftsmanship with deep carving that appeared to have strong meaning. "Is that new?" She continued to laugh as the path got narrower and the moon began to crest over the darkening night sky. She knew she had limited daytime left, and whatever creature was hunting them in the woods would soon be hunting them. She was not afraid. She was strong, bold, and the village people always said, the protector. So what did she have to fear? Just outside the forest was a small village. The dark smoke from the blacksmith's forge can be seen from the middle of the wood. This was often the way that people from a long hunt would find their way back home. The banners hung around the town with the same markings that were on the tall man's quiver. The markings were stained blood red, and the more you looked at them, the more of a sense of protection you would find. Stables housed peculiar creatures that were like the horses owned by the humans of lore. However, they seemed to be more unique and had antlers and more large and elaborate than the deer antlers the woman in the woods was wearing, adorned on her head. The eyes of these creatures seemed to sparkle, even in the shadows. The fur of their bodies seemed to be shine with radiance, as the colors ranged from deep dark browns to radiant whites. The children could be heard laughing in the distance. Each small home had a roof structured with the branches of the neighboring trees. The walls of the tiny homes were made from the earth that surrounds the village. The people of the village respected the ground they hunted on, and it was evident by the way they kept their small homes.